Chapter 5.3 Hyperbola. Okay, hyperbola is the graph. The graph of the hyperbola is the curve in red. So actually the hyperbola is a set of all the points so that the difference whose distances from two fixed points is a positive constant. Okay, this means let's say there are two focus or foci, focus 1 and focus 2. So there are two green lines. The line segment P to the point F2 and P to the point F1. So there are two line segments, the green one. So the difference between two line segments should be equal to 2a, constant. So if we make it positive, use an absolute value so that the value will be positive, the difference will be positive, then that constant value will be 2 times a. Okay, a is called the vertex, the vertex of two graphs. So this is the definition. Hyperbola is a set of all the points so that the difference between two lines will be constant. So let me draw this a little bit larger. Okay, so here is the x-axis. Let me draw it here. X-axis and then y-axis. And then also let me draw a straight asymptote lines. The asymptote, this line will be different from each equation. So let me draw something like this. We can find this asymptote later on. Okay, draw a asymptote. And then let's say there are two focus, foci. So let's say this is focus 1. C, and this is negative C. Then we can draw a graph so that from a vertex, let's say this is the vertex, then this one is approaching the asymptote. The graph approaches the asymptote. Okay, let's say this is A. So we have another vertex, the same vertex. Actually, we must have the same distance, so this is not right. So C is a little bit, is around here. This is negative C, and probably this will be, let's say this is A, vertex, another vertex. Then the graph approaches the asymptote. Even the bottom approaches the asymptote. Okay. So we call this. So this is the vertex A, and this will be negative A. The origin is 0. Okay. So we call this asymptote. And even this is also an asymptote. Okay. And C is the focus. So C is, okay, let me write the equation for this hyperbola. Okay, the equation of a hyperbola is this. Starting with x squared over a squared. This is similar to the ellipse, but this time is minus. Instead of plus, this will be minus. B squared is equal to 1. Okay, this is the equation of a hyperbola, and A is the vertex. B, okay, actually B is this one. Okay, from this, okay, B is used. We need this value B so that we can find the constant. We can find the focus. So let me use blue pen. So the vertex from the center to the vertex is A, and I'm gonna draw a vertical line so that this vertical line is B. So actually B is the height. B is the height of this triangle, and this is A. Okay. And then this hypotenuse is the length of the focus. So using this right triangle, we can find the length of the hypotenuse, then C will be the focus. So B is the vertical, the length of the vertical side, the height. A is the horizontal side. Okay, and the graph it looks like X. The graph looks like X. Then the x-axis that crosses two vertices is called transverse axis. So we call this transverse axis. Okay. Transverse axis is the axis or the horizontal line that passes through the two vertices. So always the transverse axis, so the vertices always lies in the transverse axis. So A is the length from the center to the vertex, B is the height, C is the hypotenuse, but actually C will be the value of the focus. Okay. Okay, so this is the graph for this hyperbola equation. What if y squared comes first? The coefficient, the x squared term is positive, but y squared is negative. What if we switch these two? Then what will be the graph of this? So if we write the graph, if the equation is y squared comes first, and then this will be, okay, let me use the same a squared. Doesn't matter actually. So x squared over b squared is equal to 1. And then you can draw the graph. Then the graph looks like concave up and down. If y squared comes first, then the graph is something like this. Let me draw a two asymptotes, so it's much easier to graph the hyperbola. Okay, so let's say this is the focus C, then this will be negative C. Okay, so negative C is around here. Then let's say the vertex is over here. This is A, then this will be negative A. Then the graph approaches the asymptote like this. Even this one approaches two asymptotes like this. Okay, so the graph looks like this. So there are two graphs, concave up and down, if y squared starts first. So from this, so this is the x-axis, y-axis. Then the transverse axis should be now y. The y-axis will be the transverse axis because the vertices A and negative A lies on the y-axis. Transverse axis. Okay, there are two asymptotes. So asymptote is the line where the graph approaches, and these two are the vertices. So this is the vertex 1, this is another vertex. So the vertex in the bottom is x equals 0, y is negative A. Okay, the vertex in the upper vertex is x equals 0, y is positive a. And the focus, okay, the focus is this one. So the focus is this focus 1. That is x equals 0, y is negative c. Another focus. The coordinate is x equals 0, y is c. Okay, if you go a little bit up the upper graph, x squared starts first. If the equation in the equation x squared starts first, then we have a graph something like this. It looks like x. So x squared starts first. So x starts first. So x looks like this, right? X looks like this. So the graph looks like this. Okay, the graph looks like this. If you scroll down, y looks like this. So y is, y starts with u, right? The shape starts with u. So the graph should be concave up and concave down. So if a hyperbola equation starts with y squared first, so y squared and the minus x squared, then the graph is concave up and down together, and it looks like y. And then if x squared comes first, and the minus y squared, then the graph is, it looks like x. Concave opens to the left and to the right. Okay, so here, let me write the vertex. So this is the focus, right? Focus 1. The focus is x equals c, y equals 0. This is another focus. That is x equals negative c and y is 0. The vertex, so this is the vertex. Vertex 1. That is x equals a, y equals 0. And then it's another vertex. X equals negative a, y is 0. So there are two types of hyperbola equation. One is starting with x squared and the other one is starting with y squared. Always make sure that this is the difference, minus. Okay, there is a minus sign, not plus. Okay, then from here c. Okay, the focus c is really important. So let me write the formula for finding the focus. Okay, c. Okay, here let me write it here. So we can draw a triangle same as this. So this will be A. Okay, let's use blue color. Okay, draw a right triangle. Since this distance is A, this will be B. And this is C. Okay, so C is using the Pythagorean theorem, c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So c is square root of a squared plus b squared, because c is the hypotenuse, length of the hypotenuse. So c is the focus, actually the focus. Okay, here's an example. Okay, for this hyperbola, this is a hyperbola equation because something squared minus something squared. The question is the transverse axis on the x-axis or the y-axis? Because this starting with y, so it's gonna be something like this. So the vertex is in the vertical line, right? Vertical line. So the vertex is in the vertical line, or the focus is in the vertical line. So the y-axis is the transverse axis. So transverse axis. So this will be the transverse axis. Transverse axis is the y-axis. So the first one, y squared. The positive sign is y squared is positive. So if the positive part comes first, then that axis is the transverse axis. So since y squared comes first and the minus x squared, so y-axis is the transverse axis. Okay, let's find the equation of the asymptotes. So for this equation, we know the shape looks like an X. Okay, shape looks like an X. So let me draw this asymptote line. We will find this asymptote line. So if we graph it, it looks like this. Okay, and then A is the vertex, so this will be length A. B is the height, so this is B. And okay, since we know okay, A and B, AB means the slope. Actually, the slope is equal to B over A. Slope is B over A. And the asymptote, okay, the asymptote is crosses at the origin. So the asymptote for this line, the equation of this asymptote should be y equals mx plus b. Mx plus b. So m is, mx plus b. So m is b over a plus b. The y-intercept is 0. So actually the equation of this asymptote is b over a times x. How about the equation of this asymptote? Same as that one. So y is equal to b over a x. This time, since this one is going down, we have to use negative value. So negative b over a x. So this will be the asymptote of the the one with the negative slope. Okay, how about the other one? Okay, y squared comes first, so the graph looks like concave up and concave down. Okay. So we can graph it something like this. Going this way, this is this way, something like this. Then using a blue pen, okay, y-axis is the transverse axis, and we know this is A and this is B. So here's the right triangle. Okay, from this, the slope is rise over 1, so A over B. A over B. So the equation of this asymptote, okay, the equation of this asymptote is y equals mx plus b. Mx plus b, so this will be A over B x plus 0. And how about this one? The equation of this asymptote will be negative because this is going down, so negative A over B x. Example 1. Let's find the vertices, foci, and the asymptotes of this hyperbola equation. And also we will sketch the graph. Okay, sketch the graph. Okay, so let's rewrite this equation so that the bottom, the denominator will be a square written as a square. So 3 squared minus x squared over 2 squared is equal to 1. So as you see, this y, the y squared comes first. So the shape looks like the graph is up and down, concave up and concave down. This y, this is x. And then let's say A is 3. Okay, A is 3, then B will be 2. Since the graph is concave up and down, the graph looks like this. So from the center, A is the vertex. So the A will be the vertex. Then this will be negative 3, another vertex. So let me draw. Okay, from here I will find the the slope of asymptote. Let's find the equation of the slope first. So this is A, right? A is 3, and B is this one, 2. Then the asymptote should be like this. This should be the asymptote. So same thing for the other one. So 3 down and 2, 3 down and 2 to the right. So the asymptote will be this line. So that will be the asymptote. Okay, so this is 3, this one is 2, right? Okay, then what's the slope? The slope is plus or minus rise over run. Rise is 3, run is 2. So plus or minus 3 over 2. So actually the equation of, not y, so the equation of the asymptote is y equals, this y is different from this one. So equation asymptote. So equation of the asymptote is y equals plus or minus 3 over 2x. So with the red line is the asymptote, graph of the asymptote. All right, then let's find the focus. Okay, the focus is this. Focus is this length, right? This length. This is C. So using using Pythagorean theorem, C is a squared. Okay, let me write the formula again. So C squared, the hypotenuse squared equals a squared plus b squared. Sum of squares of the legs. So C will be square root of a squared plus b squared. We know what C value is. Well, we know A and B, so square root of A is 3, B is 2, then C is equal to 9 plus 4, so C equals square root of 13. Okay, the length of C is square root of 13. Then the focus should be square root of 13 and negative 13. So let's say this part is the focus. Square root of what? 13. And this part, let's say this is square root of negative square root of 13. So the graph looks like this. So starting from this vertex, it looks like this. Going this way, from this vertex approaching the asymptote, even from this vertex approaching this asymptote and approaching this asymptote. Like this. Okay, so we can write the vertex. So the vertex 1, okay, this is a vertex, so that is x equals 0, y is negative 3, and this vertex is x equals 0, y is 3. And the focus, this focus is x equals 0, y square root of 13, and this focus is x equals 0, y is negative square root of 13. Okay, how about if the hyperbola, the center of the hyperbola is at h and k, that means we translate the original hyperbola, horizontally and vertically. So then the graph should be like this. Okay, this is original one, so the graph of this hyperbola will be shifted horizontally and vertically. Horizontally and vertically. So let's say here is h, shifted horizontally h units, and let's say k units. So let me draw a dotted line. Okay, so from here the graph should be something like this. It should look like this, based on the asymptote. It is better to draw the asymptote first. The asymptote is a over b. So there will be, the graph looks like this, and then like this. Let's say this is the vertex, so it's going to be like this and like this. So the center, okay, from here, the center is, okay, let's use a different color. So this is the center, which is H and K. This is the vertex, which is, okay, actually this much is A. Okay, this is A. This distance is A. So it will be A plus H. Now A is increased by H and then increased by K. How about this vertex? And this vertex is, okay, it was originally negative A, so negative A plus H, and the Y value is K. That's the vertex. How about the focus? Okay, let's say this is C, focus. Focus was originally at C, so C will be increased by H, and Y will be 0, so Y is increased by K. So this focus will be, okay, it was originally at negative C, so negative C plus H, and Y value is K. Okay, how about the equation of the asymptote? Okay, asymptote, okay, the original asymptote was Y is equal to, in this case, A over B, plus or minus A over BX. So that was the original asymptotes, two asymptote lines. So when we translate this asymptote horizontally and vertically, we just replace X and Y. So the asymptote will be, the equation of the asymptote will be Y minus K should be equal to plus or minus A over B. Then replace X with X minus H. So that will be the equation of the asymptote. Asymptotes. I'm sorry, I made a mistake on the slope, because A is the horizontal, B is the height. So the slope is not A over B, should be B over A. Slope should be B over A. Okay. So because A is horizontal and the B is the vertical line, horizontal, vertical, so slope is B over A. Okay, B over A plus minus, even this one, this is B over A plus minus. Okay, example 2. Let's find the center, vertices, foci, and the asymptote of this equation. And this equation is hyperbola because one is x squared, the other one is minus y squared. So let's write this one in a perfect square form. So collect x terms together, 4x squared minus 16x, then minus 9, and then y terms together, so minus 9y squared plus 54y, and then move numbers to the other side, so 29. Okay, so from this we can factor out 4, so that this will be x squared minus 4x, put a little bit more space, and the minus, factor out negative 9, then y squared minus 5x. 6y. Then put a little bit more space, is equal to 29. Okay, from this let's find the third value so that it will be a perfect square. The third value will be negative 4 divide the coefficient of x by 2 and then square it. So this will go added to this parenthesis. So that is negative 2 squared. Since we add it, we have to subtract negative 2 squared, which is minus 4, plus 4 and the minus 4. For this one also, okay, divide negative 6 by 2 squared, then this is negative 3 squared. So we will add negative 3 squared, which is 9. So we have to subtract 9 within the parentheses. So plus 9 and minus 9 together. And then we have 4 times. Let's use the large bracket. Then the first 3 terms will make a perfect square, x minus 2 squared minus 4. Okay, for the second part, negative 9 bracket, y minus 3 squared minus 9 is equal to 29. And then distribute. So that is 4 x minus 2 squared minus 16. Distribute. So minus 9 y minus 3 squared plus 81 is equal to 29. And then let's move the constant to the right. Minus 9 is 29. Okay, move minus 16 to the right, and then 81 to the right, so minus 81. Then we have the left hand side is still the same. The right side is 29 plus 16 is 45. So minus 81 plus 45 is negative 36. Okay, now we wanna rewrite this so that it will be x squared over something. So first of all, let's remove negative 36. Okay, write it one more time. I want to divide this by, the right side has to be 1. Okay, the right side has to be 1. So let's divide each side by negative 36. Negative 36, because we have to make the right hand side always 1. Always 1. So the left hand side is, this one is negative x minus 2 squared over 9. And this part becomes positive y minus 3 squared over 4. The right side is 1. Since y squared part is positive, why don't we switch these two? So it's much easier to interpret the equation. So y minus 3 squared over, okay, 4 is 2 squared. Okay, 4 minus x minus 2 squared over 9 is equal to 1. So if we make a square, then the bottom will be 2 squared, and then x minus 2 squared over 9. 9 is 3 squared. So from this we can see that 2 is A. Okay, A is 2 and B is equal to 3. Since the y squared comes first, the graph should look like this. The graph looks like this. It looks like y, right? Y. It looks like this. So the transverse axis is the y-axis. Let's graph this one. Okay, x-axis, y-axis. And then since we know the values of A and B, A is the rise part. So 1, 2, right side 1, 2, 3. So 2 up, and 3 right. Over here. So the asymptote So this will be a asymptote, and then also 2 down, 2 to the right. So this will be another asymptote. Okay. So the slope asymptote line, okay, the asymptote, okay, y as for the asymptote. Okay, let me use a different color. Okay, for the asymptote, y equals, okay, this is 2 up, 3 right, 3 right, 2 up. So rise over run, so plus or minus, rise is 2, run is 3x. So this is the asymptotes. Okay, how about C? Let's find the focus C. Okay, this value will be C. Then C is, okay, C squared is equal to what? A squared plus B squared. So C equals square root of A squared plus B squared. So A is, in this case, A is 2 squared plus 3 squared. Then this is equal to square root of 4 plus 9 is the square root of 15. Okay, so C is square root of 15. Sorry, 13, right? Why 15? Okay, so C is square root of 13. This is the focus. So square root of 13, let's say this is square root of 13. Then this will be negative square root of 13. Okay, the vertex is, how about the vertex? So in this case, the vertex will be 2. So A will be the vertex. This will be the vertex. So this is the vertex and this is the vertex. So we can graph it like this. So starting from this, it will be something like this, going this way and going this way. From this, the graph approaches the asymptote. Okay. All right. This. Okay. We didn't consider about the transformation. So why don't we? Okay. Dx. Actually, the transformation is 3 and 2. We actually move 3 units to the right and 2 units up. So the vertex, the center should be x equals 2, x equals 2, y is 3. So we move 2 units to the right and then 3 units up. So why don't we just change this axis? Okay, let me use a trick on this one. So instead of using dotted line, why don't we use instead of using solid line, why don't we use a dotted line just to represent new axis, new horizontal and new horizontal and vertical axis. Okay. So what we did is we moved the center 2 units to the right and 3 units up. So actually the x-axis and y-axis should be here. So 2 to the right and 3 up. So let me remove this one a little bit. So negative 1, 2, 3. So actually, this is the x-axis, and this will be the y-axis. This is the y-axis. Because starting from this, we can move 2 units to the right, and then 1, 2, 3 units up. So here it is 1, 2, 3. 3 units up. So 2 units to the right, and then 1, 2, 3 units up. 3 units up. So that is the center. So originally the center was here, but it's moved to 3 and 2. So the center is 3 and 2. Sorry, 2 and 3. 1, 2. Okay, so this is the graph. Center is 2 and 3. How about, okay, let me write, okay, let's find the coordinate for each vertex. So the coordinate of this vertex will be, okay, use a different color. Okay, vertex is originally it is 2 units away, so the vertex is x equals 2, and then y is we move 3 units up, so it will be positive 1. And the other one, okay, for this one, originally it was at 2, so x equals anyway, x equals same, and the y is it was negative 2 and 2, so 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, how about the focus? Okay, focus is at the same, the x coordinate is same, and the focus was negative 13. It was negative 13, the square root of negative 13. But what we did is we shifted this one 3 units up, so plus 3. And the other one is x equals 2. Y was square root of 13, and then we increased this y value 3 units up. So that will be the focus. Okay, also the asymptote, since we translated the graph horizontal and vertically, so finally this will be, replace this y with y minus the y value, the horizontal, the vertical distance, the vertical shift is 3, so y minus 3 is equal to plus or minus 2/3 times x minus, the horizontal shift is 2, so x minus 2. Then we can simplify this. Once we simplify this, then we will have y equals, okay, let's simplify this, not enough space. So plus or minus 2 over 3x, and then minus plus, right, minus plus 4 over 3. So finally y is equal to 1 is, okay, 2 over 3x, and then minus 3 moves to the right, and it will be positive 3, so positive 3 is positive 9 over 3, positive 9 over 3, so 5 over 3, or negative 13, or plus 4 plus 9 is 9 over 3. So one is this, the other one is minus 3. Okay, let me write it again here. I don't have enough space. Okay, so I rewrote the equation of 2 asymptotes. So the first one is, y equals 2 over 3, positive 2/3 x. The other one is negative 2/3 x. So we have 2 equations for the asymptotes like this. Okay, let's check the eccentricity of a hyperbola. Eccentricity is the ratio of C to A. C is the focus actually. So if the C value gets greater, that means the focus is the hypotenuse of a triangle. So if C value is greater, then the B value, B value will be higher. So that if it's higher, then the graph will be wider. So the greater the C, then the wider the graph. So the eccentricity is always C is greater than A because C is the focus outside the length of A. So C is always greater than A. So eccentricity is greater than 1 always. So based on the value of E, if E gets larger, then the graph will be wider and wider. Example 3. This time let's find the equation of a parabola. And eccentricity is given, the center is at the origin, and the focus is 6 and 0. So let's plot this point. The center is 0 and 0. And then the focus is 6. Okay, the focus is 6. That means this is focus, so the other side is also focus. The focus is in the x-axis, so the graph should look like this. Because the transverse axis is the x-axis, so the equation should be x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. Since the center is 0, there's no h and k value. H and k are zeros. Okay, from this, the eccentricity shows that the eccentricity is equal to 3 over 2. So 3 is the focus, C value, and 2 is A value. A is the vertex. A is the vertex, so A is 2, so we can write, okay, maybe 2 is here, and this is negative 2. So this is the vertex. And then, okay, the focus C is, okay, now C is 6, so okay, C, the focus, so okay, this is the focus C value is 6, so actually this is not right. So if we rewrite it, the focus is 6, so this is eccentricity is C over A. So the C value is actually 6. Then A will be this time 4 because 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 times 2 is A. So from this A should be equal to 4. Okay, A is 4, so actually this is not right. So this should be 4. So the vertex is 4, negative 2, negative 4. So this is the vertex. Okay, so vertex and the focus. So let's find the B value. So B value is this. Okay, from here. Okay, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. And we know what the C value is. C is 6, so 6 squared is equal to A squared is 4 squared plus B squared. And then, okay, this is 36 is equal to 16 plus B squared. So from this, B squared is equal to 20. So B is equal to square root of 20. That is 2 square root of 5. So B is 2 square root of 5. Okay, so this is A. So let's draw a triangle. So this is 4, and the B value is square root of 20. So 2 square root of 5. Then this will be the value c, which is 6. And then this will be the, okay, so we can draw two asymptotes. We can draw two asymptotes. So based on these asymptotes, we can sketch the graph. Okay, since this is the vertex, okay, this one goes like this and like this. And from this vertex, -4, this one goes like this. Okay, so the equation is, okay, the equation is, okay, the shape is, it looks like x, so x squared comes first, then a squared minus y squared over b squared is equal to 1, and a is 4, so that will be 16. 4 squared minus y squared over b, okay, b squared is actually 20, right, 20. And then a squared is 4, so, okay, let me write it again. So x squared over 16 minus y squared over 20 is equal to 1. So this will be the equation of the parabola. Okay, and then the graph looks like this. Okay, let's try exercise number 24. Okay, from this exercise, let's find the vertices, center, foci, and asymptotes, and then graph it. So, okay, let us divide this by 9 because the constant is 9. We want to make the right-hand side of the equation 1. So divide each side by 9. Then 9 over 9 is equal to 1. Okay, from this, okay, x squared must be a 1, so we will divide 16. Okay, divide both top and bottom by 16 for the first term. Then there will be x squared over, okay, 9 divided by 16 minus, same thing, y squared over, divide the numerator and denominator of the second term by 25. So 9 over 25, then this is equal to 1. So we can write the denominator as a square. Then this will be 3 over 4, 3/4 squared. And then the second term is y squared, 3 over 5 squared is equal to 1. Since x squared starts first, the graph looks like this. The graph looks like this, x looks like an x. And the vertex is, so from here, there's no translation, so the center should be 0, 0, and the vertex will be 3/4 a. Okay, let me use this. So in this case, okay, a will be 3/4 and b will be 3/5. So a is the vertex. A will be the vertex. Okay, then from this, a is the vertex, so it will be 3/4 0 and -3/4 0. That's the vertex. Okay, the focus is this. How do we find the focus? Okay, we need to find the c value. If we see this, this is center, right? Center. So this is a. We need to find b, and this will be the c. A, this is b, and this is c. So c is equal to square root of a squared plus b squared. Then c is equal to square root of, okay, a squared is, okay, 3/4 squared plus 3/5 squared. Then that is equal to, okay, 9 over 4 plus 9 over 25. Okay, it's a lot of work. Okay, what we need is c, right? C. So this is equal to square root of, okay, let's make a 100. Then multiply 25 by 9. 225 plus 25 times 4, 36. Okay, then this is equal to square root of 261 over 100. Okay, there is a mistake here. 4 squared is 16, right? 16. So let's get rid of this and the user calculator. So this will be 16. Then using a calculator, this will be square root of something, right? So when you square it, then the C value will be 0.96. C value is 0.96. So the focus will be, x is 0.96, y is 0. The other one is negative 0.96 and y equals 0. So let's graph this one. X-axis, the y-axis, and here's the vertex 3/4. This is 3. Let's say this is 3/4. Then this will be negative 3/4. And this is A, and this will be B is 3/5. So this will be the 3/5. And then the asymptote should be like this. This is the asymptote. And we know the vertex. So the vertex is this one. This is the vertex. So from this, we can graph it like this, going this way and this way. And the focus should be here. This is the focus 0.96, and this is the second focus negative 0.96. So focus 1, focus 2. Okay, then the line, the asymptote line, equation of the asymptote will be, okay, y is equal to rise over run. Rise is 3/5. Rise over run. So in this case, b over a, right? B over a. Rise is height, and run is the horizontal distance. So b will be 3/5. A is 3/4. So put b, product of outside over inside, will be 4/3. I'm sorry, 4/5, sorry. Okay, so the product of outside is 3 times 4 divided by inside. 3 times 5, so 4/5. So the equation for the asymptote equation of the asymptotes will be y is equal to, this is slope, sorry. This should be the slope. So y will be plus or minus mx. M is 4/5 x. And the graph looks like this. So we found all the answers. Okay, from this one, for the focus, you can use the calculator. We got 0.96, but if we simplify this, then this can be as, okay, the bottom is square root of, okay, the denominator will be 400, the numerator 369 over 400. Then once we simplify this, then the denominator is 20, then the numerator is 9 times 40, 9 times 41, so that is something like 3 square root of 41 over 20. So we can use this expression for the focus as well.